The ClimAccelerators are accelerators that we are delivering with organizers like EAU. In Asia, this is the first pilot that called for expression of interest that we are launching, and we are really happy that we have you here today. So we'll be going and we'll let you know about like what is Climate Kick, what is the ClimAccelerators, and some practical and the practical side of potential applications. So let's delve in, let's dive deeper. First of all, what we are looking for. What we are looking for is the new EIT Climate Kick partners to collaborate with us on the Asian ClimAccelerator program, as already said. As we also like see on the practical in the last part of the of tomorrow's presentation, the expression of interest phase for potential ClimAccelerators organizers is now open until the 15th of April at 8 Singapore time. So first one will be Sebastian. And Sebastian, the floor is yours.
Thank you
Here's
for
our agenda.
Alex. Yes, this is what we're going to go through in the next minutes. So a bit of a introduction that maybe is going to set the frame and the tone regarding the entity that is presenting to you the expression of interest today. Some of you know Climate Kick. Hopefully, many of you know Climate Kick. But if not, this is going to be the chance for it. So as you can see in the screen, we define ourselves as Europe's leading climate innovation agency, very focused on building capacities around ecosystems in order to develop, strengthen, and enhance the reach and impact of climate-driven innovations. Systems innovation is a keyword that we're going to be seeing constantly through our different slides, but also in the narrative that we as Climate Kick create in our communication channels. And the reason for this is that we believe that the most important solutions that we need, to address the climate urgency are going to happen with a mix of capacities and with a mix of assets. Nobody can do it by itself or himself or herself. And we need to transform our places by 2030 using different relevant resources. Maybe we can go to the next slide. So this is a team that is going to compose the ClimAccelerator implementation for the upcoming cohorts. There is a nice combination here of different capacities. You already heard about Morten and Alex and Krista as well, but there's an investment angle that is going to be present throughout the implementation through Mito. He's our investment portfolio manager. We're also very keen to develop gender notions and gender lenses within the startups or within the ESOs that participate in our programs. And this is what Wallis, gender program manager, brings into the table, and also implementation operational capacity with Alex that gave you the introduction, and also Christian, our program builder for the Global South. Also, Jasmina plays a very important role for us, as we are not only keen to develop innovations regarding climate, but also to help them measure their impact and assess the true CO2 or other related metric track records in a way that is verified and is technically rigorous. So this is the back end of the implementation of the current expression of interest for the ClimAccelerator. Can go into the next. As I mentioned before, we believe that innovation should happen in a systemic way through different levels of change, but also in a way that they are connected and that they can bring the impact of this solution in a simultaneous way. Maybe it's around a value chain, maybe it's around an industry, or maybe it's a vertical that is very important in the city. Maybe it's around mobility, waste, CO2 concentrations in the air, or pollution. Maybe it's around water, or maybe it's about maritime ecosystems. Our model proposes a systemic change in order to create those impacts. And you, as potential ESOs implementing the ClimAccelerator, are part of that system as well. Maybe the next. So we connect solutions, we mobilize funding, and we try to provoke a shift in mindsets. It doesn't really matter how many technologies we bring into the table and how much investing we mobilize, if the minds or the overall perceptions of our role as systems don't change, then these solutions are not really going to be sustainable in the medium and in the long term. And one common pattern that we've seen, and probably you're witnessing that as well in your ecosystem, is the rapid and accelerated change of the negative impacts of climates in different ecosystems. So probably time is part of the variables that we are considering when implementing our solutions, because we are aware of the urgency that needs to drive our coordinator efforts in these systems. Next. So if we had to show the different type of entities and concrete names that participate in our programs with different roles, this would be one way to profile that. So as you can see, we have a global set of institutional relationships built with agencies like UNIDO, or with the bodies of United Nations close to climate change. We also work with pan-European organizations like the European Commission itself, but different other agencies at national level, like the government of Slovenia, the Irish Aid, or BMC, which is the Ministry of Economic Development in Germany. This helps us to tailor our approach into concrete specific realities and needs and pains in different geographical scopes. There are also subnational and city partners that help us bring this a little bit deeper, a little bit more relevant and customized into very specific realities, like the city of Madrid with the Net Zero Cities missions across Europe. But lately we have been enhancing our reach and scope with corporate partners, the ones that probably have a very considerable amount of resources, technology, and capacity to help us drive that change. So Munich Re, Bank of America, Amazon are very good examples of current programs that we have in our portfolio and that help us bring the corporate sector arm into this systemic approach that I was sharing with you before. Next. And as you can see, as of 2024, this is what the implementation of different partners across different regions in the world looks like. When you see a location there, it's because we have a ClimAccelerator partner. As you can see, it's very dense around Europe. That's natural given the origins of Climate Kick. But also we're starting to see a very nice spread of these capacities across the global south. We're talking here about Latin America, Africa, but also Asia and Southeast Asia as well. And hopefully we can increase the presence of many more ESOs or partners in Asian region. And that's the whole purpose of this info session regarding the ClimAccelerator. So how does this translate into concrete numbers and a track record that can somehow prove what we have been doing since 2017? So we are very keen on partnerships. As I mentioned before, we are convinced that a systemic approach with different capacities is the key, or one of the keys, to deliver climate innovations into a scaling point. So over 300 partners are part of this journey with us, delivery partners, but also investors and funders. Throughout these years, we have been able to create capacities and to make a little bit over 6,000 startups to their climate positive state of art. And as resources and financing are also part of the equation, we act as a connector between different sources of investment in order for these sources to create the needed trust so they can deliver their capacities into startups. So over 2.9 billion mobilized, attracted by the startups that are part of our programs. And if we combine all the current cap market value of our alumni startups, it would be over 12 billion at the moment in euros, of course. Very focused on job creations. We believe that when a startup is able to create a full-time equivalent or a full-time formalized job, it means that many other things in their business model or their processes are also going in the good direction. Creating jobs is one of the toughest things to do when you're in a startup, as you probably know, right? So over 10,000 jobs created since that time. And as I mentioned before, probably in our previous stage as Climate Kick, we have mobilized over 38 million of grants into startups that participate in our programs. We have a portfolio of what we call climate safe companies, which are companies that we have a level of investment in, and this portfolio is now topping 100 different climate innovation across different regions. And here I will give it up to Morten to take us a little bit deeper into how our journey works. Hello, Morten.
Thank you very much, Sebastian, and good afternoon, everyone. I would like to encourage you to put questions into the chat in case you have any. Next slide, please. I will dig a little bit deeper into what is it actually when we are saying the Climate Accelerator. This is not just a normal accelerator program. We take it a little bit further. So first of all, we see the capacity building extremely important. So the ones that we partner with, we support both in technical with some of our operational systems, but also have a focusing on the startups that are in the ecosystem, the local ecosystem. How can we scale them better, and how can we make sure that they have the both the investments ready, but also the innovation that can then actually support CO2 savings and less emissions. The local ecosystem is important for us because that also add up to the global ecosystem. We call it the innovation clusters here, where we together with the different stakeholders in the local ecosystem work together in order to create community, whereby also that it's not just a very linear process, but to some extent circular. Next slide, please. So this is a very dense slide, but this is just to show that our focus is to bridging the gap between supply and demand. So the classical acceleration is that you have startups that need to engage in order to become more diligent in an ever-changing world. However, we also see it moving upwards towards the demand, where you have the demand and the supply meeting more or less in the meeting, where we say closing the gap. That's where the local and innovative ecosystems comes in, and we can make this happen, meeting the new innovative solutions to the demand that we see both at the current stage but also emerging in the future. Next slide, please. So the pipeline, you could say from the supply side, classical with ideation, incubation, acceleration, and the later stage. The value of death, where it is very well known, we have found a way to, how can I say, overstep this by, here we have the focus on the Climate Accelerator in the middle, where we have developed the operational system that support our partners. But we also take it to the next step. So not just leaving the startups on their own, but actually creating an investment pipeline to the investors that we have in our ecosystem, that thereby can both be scaled in terms of investment, but also, as Sebastian was mentioned, safe programs that can then support the startups even further. And we are currently setting up a 1.5 fund that can support this progress even further. Next slide. So how do we actually do this more specifically? So in terms of our entrepreneurship support, we have different areas. So we have the ideation, as I was mentioning, focusing within Climate Fund. We have the business development and memberships within our portfolio. The climate impact measurements that we are offering to our partners in terms of both making the hypothesis and taking even further with also focus within the gender and gender mainstreaming in general. Who is then our partners? That can be you. We have a wide range of partners in our network. So it goes from municipalities to even SMEs to NGOs. And we have a general expression overall, what we call entrepreneurship support organization, ESOs. You will often hear this expression when you are working together with us. And then, of course, the most important part, who is then funding the different programs. This is also here that you have an assignment, you could say, within the local ecosystem to identify the right innovative players within the ecosystem that are interesting of willing to be part of the local ecosystem and supporting new innovative solutions that have a positive climate impact. Here again, it's very wide range, as Sebastian was mentioning. And I would say that as such, there's no exclusions in terms of the funding part, as long as they have the right vision in terms of creating a positive impact in the world. Next slide. Yeah, so more concretely, we'll take it a little bit a further step deeper in terms of what is it that we do with the startups in order to create the climate impact. So specific on the Climate Accelerator, here we've been working more for 10 years with our proven methodologies together with local partners or ESOs, as I was mentioning. And this we use in different ways in order to make sure that they receive the support, but also that their solutions are then promoted and scaled in order to actually see the benefits of their climate solutions. As Sebastian was showing on the overview, more than 100 programs we have delivered worldwide. And this has been more than 2,500 startups that have been through our Climate Accelerator programs. So what does it actually then takes to run a Climate Accelerator program? So you have the opportunity here to utilize the Climate Accelerator branding into your materials. As you have seen on all our slides, there is our logo and the EU logo as well, that be part of your community and branding package. You will get access to our Climate Accelerator DNA part and the climate impact tools that I was mentioning. Your startups will get both webinars and the opportunity to be supported in their journey towards actually showing that they have a positive climate impact. The data on the climate impact is then also shared both with us and ideally within the local and the global community and network. We see this as a very important part to share the best knowledge and work together in our community. We call it the global community, in order to utilize the best practices. We are aware that there are differences from local ecosystem to local ecosystem. However, best practices are always very appreciated. Next slide. So more specifically, we are using what we call a 3-stage model, where we have the stage 1, the business development. These are focusing on the early stage startups. They have developed their specific unique selling points, and also that they have started in terms of developing their technology and have some kind of traction in their network. So they are not only newly staged, but they are also have a clear path forward. During the stage 1, they will be supported in their business model development. And again, of course, here focusing on what is the climate impact and is there climate impact with their technology. The customer traction, the stage 2, looking a little bit beyond what kind of customers, where are the customers, how can that be supported. Here we have a network of coaches and also mentors available that can participate in some of the specific workshops. The stage 3 are the investor readiness. Here, of course, you're taking it to the later stage where the startups then are looking for funding ideally, and then can be shared within the network. Within all 3 stages, we have what we call the operational system available, where you can get support in terms of how to run and also be very specific in terms of the Climate Accelerator program. And in this case, the best practices are available to all partners. Next slide, sorry. So why should you actually do this? We have I mentioned it a few times now already, but I would say that in terms of the branding, of course, that's extremely important. We see the co-branding together with our partners as a main impact. We have all the tools and handbooks available for you. There's the impact in terms of the startups, climate impact that you, of course, also will be able to showcase. You'll be part of the community and also have a reach in terms of not just the local, but also the global level. There's the learning from different partners, and then, of course, the support of the scaling of the startups in terms of making sure that they make the global stage and a global impact. Next slide. So we have, just to make it a little bit more easier to understand, we have created specific modules for the startups in terms of what are the different elements that have been proven within the program already. So in terms of climates and impact or investments within the environment, we have the system and also the circularity that we see as extremely important. These, again, they will be able and be available for you on our operational system. Next slide. So I will pass the word to Alexandros.
Great, thanks, Morten, and thank you, everyone. Like so far, also some people that came like a bit later. So now we are going towards like the last part of our presentation, which is the application and the procedure, some practical stuff, how you're going like to apply and what's behind. The first of all, as Morten already said, we're delivering either like theme-based or location-based accelerators. For this call for expression of interest, we identified and selected two thematic areas for our partners for you. The first one is the energy efficiency, and the second one is the circular economy and circularity. The first one, and regarding contribution to significantly to a greener and more sustainable future, and of course, as we navigate the complexities of climate change and the energy crisis, the importance of energy efficiency has never been more pronounced. Accelerators and potential partners like you that focus on the energy efficiency, you serve as dynamic platform for these innovations that we are looking for this progress that we're looking for. The organizers, like under like this scope, would deliver accelerators in various sub-themes, such as optimizing energy consumption, reducing environmental impact, or sustainable energy practice. Regarding the second one, circular economy and circularity, and of course, in our commitment that Sebastian and Morten already explained, to fostering a sustainable and resilient like future, we recognize the imperative of embracing these circular economy principles. The essence of the circular economy and this practices in the industrial circularity lies in creating a regenerative system that minimizes waste, optimizes resource use, and promotes sustainable practices. All these accelerators, we believe that will play like a really pivotal role in advancing like this mission and this vision that we have and we have explained like so far. The next one is about like your profiles. Who can do it? The ESOs, as Morten already explained. We are looking for accelerators, we're looking for incubators, venture builders, hubs, co-working space with innovation work, or a combination of those. We want like to see your application that you already have like some experience in supporting startups, and of course, ideally experience in climate change initiatives and practices. There is a selected like list, as you probably already like know, the list of eligible countries for this call for expression of interest. As you can see, is Japan, Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand, Pakistan, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, South Korea, and Cambodia. Then we have the evaluation criteria. There are 5 really important evaluation criteria for us that will be would applying in the application, and these are excellence, impact, uniqueness, EIT Climate Kick portfolio strategic fit, and of course the financial sustainability. The first one, the excellence, as you can also read, is the clarity and persistence of the objectives and the extent to which the proposed work is ambitious and goes beyond the state of art. We really want to see the innovation in those ClimAccelerators, and we really believe this is the key to success. The second one is the impact, is the credibility to pathways to achieve the expected outcomes and impacts. The third one is the uniqueness, the specific added value of the program from your perspective and on the startup's perspective. The fourth one is the EIT Climate Kick portfolio strategic and how compliant it's with our sustainable practices and knowledge triangle integration, and of course the fit with our recently formed strategy transformation with urgency from 2024 until 2030. And the last one, which we really believe it's the most important one, it's the capacity that you have to cover expenses, allocate resource efficiently, and demonstrate financial preparedness for delivering this program. Besides the evaluation criteria, we also have something that we call voluntary revenue share. As you understand, all these elements in this equation, and to support you, it requires significant resources. We are responsible for acquiring these resources on our end, but we really need your help. So for doing that, we have came up with the following mechanism. The ClimAccelerator organizer may participate in a voluntary revenue sharing arrangement, allowing you to contribute to us. As you can see, we haven't put an annual fixed fee, but it's really based on the revenue and the turnover that you'll be having. There are 4 scales, as you can see, ranging from if it's below 2,000 to 25,000 euros or until 7,500. Of course, this voluntary invoice will be sent during the Q4 of the program, and it's only based on specific KPIs that will be set, and of course, only in case that the program and the delivery of the program is successful. Then, additional information and requirements besides to what Morten explained about how you're going to run it and what's behind. As we said, there will be either a theme or a place-based ClimAccelerator. In this case, of course, we have already identified the 2 themes, but now would also be based on your location. The second thing is the timeline. You are expected, in case that we are going into and delivering these programs, we expected to start before the summer of 2024, and of course deliver and end with a program before the end of the year. The number of startups that we ideally want to support is 7 startups per program per iteration, in order to deliver and measure the climate positive impact at scale, which is of course connected to reporting and the calculations from the climate impact hypothesis that all the startups will be going through. Then, of course, there are some other things behind the community and the brand, such as increasing the reach of the ClimAccelerator creation, but promoting the brand in your local context, ecosystem, and everyone that you think is relevant. One also important element is that all the communication must be conducted in English. So, what are the next steps? The next steps is the second info session that will be delivering on the 4th of April at 3:30 for 1 hour. The time is, of course, Singapore time. And as you can see, as I also mentioned in the very first slide, the application deadline is the 15th of April. The application assessment will be based on the evaluation criteria that we just saw, and comprehensive feedback will be delivered to everyone regarding if they are selected or not. With the ones that will be selecting, there will be an introduction call, interviews, and onboarding process with the selected partners, as you can see, and also the welcome package information. Just one important thing is that all these links that you will be find in presentation, we will share the presentation with everyone. So no worries, you can also, everyone can have access to the welcome packets. So I think that's it from us. I'm also adding some links, the official call document where you can find like more information on this, like the call for expression of interest, why we're doing it, the application like portal, and how you can also like apply, and of course a LinkedIn post that we already like made if you want also like to disseminate. And of course this is the link. So I think this is the presentation like so far. Now it's your time like to ask questions either in the chat or just open your mic and camera and let's delve into this discussion. Thank you so much.